Welcome to our podcast, Reaching the Stars. I am Ratna Mehta and I lead the Wadhwani Catalyst Fund. This startup world is very, very intriguing actually. Chase the vision and the money will follow is something that we've heard of multiple times. But that's exactly what is happening in the startup space in India. Earlier, startups didn't see too much of investing. Mainly it was restricted to tech entrepreneurs. But now we are seeing startups as growth engines and there is a lot of money in the line to invest in startups. And who better to talk about the startup world and angel investing other than our guest today, Nandini Mansingkha, who leads one of the largest angel networks in India, Mumbai Angels. Nandini, thank you very much for being on our show. It's a pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you, Ratna. I'm so glad and happy to be here talking to you.
Nandini, you've had a very interesting journey, right? You started with the media house Times of India, moved on to investment banking, then became an entrepreneur, and now you're leading an angel network, dealing with startups, dealing with investors. It's phenomenal. It's very, very inspiring. Would love to hear from you what inspired you to take these turns and what were some of your learnings along the way?
Super. So Ratna, actually, I, even before media, I actually started with education. So 23 years back, right, 1997 is when, I had just graduated with my CFA and an MBA. The harsh reality was that there were no jobs in the market, right? I remember going pillar to post saying, listen, I want to do anything that brings money home, okay? And at that point is when I joined an education institute. It was, I don't think it exists anymore. And just, it was like a very local place, which said, okay, we are looking for somebody to design our finance courses and teach it to our students. And I took it up, not because, it was the greatest thing to do, but that was the only thing available. So I did that for about a year and a half. That's when the market suddenly turned. So, imagine from 97 when there is this downturn and everything is falling apart to 1999, okay? 2 years, there's this internet boom and everything is internet and moving around. And I just saw this ad in the newspaper which said, oh, Times of India is setting up its internet portal. Do you want to apply? I had no clue, right? And I just applied. And I had no clue what my role will be. The place that I entered had no clue what it was trying to build, but I went in and I was the 6th or 7th employee of IndiaTimes.com. Okay? That I think was one of my first brush with entrepreneurship, of course at a very different scale when money was not a problem. But you were out there where you were told that, listen, don't tell us this is my skill set and this is my job description, because both don't apply. So there were times when I was trying to build a women's portal. There was a time when I was trying to do legal stuff, financial stuff, auto, and I don't drive a car, so I didn't even know what auto is. But I was dabbling with trying to build that vertical. It was a roller coaster ride for me. I was there till about, I think, 2003 or 4. That's when I think these seeds of entrepreneurship were sown into me. It said, A, imagine big. B, don't tell yourself that this is the limit of what I can do. So that takes away your, mental framework of saying, this is possible, this is not possible. Cut to 2003-4 and this is when all this is in Delhi. I moved to Mumbai, where I was, I said, okay, now I'm done. And I moved to JP Morgan. And like you rightly said, it's a huge shift, Like I was a part of this. By the time I quit Times, I was a part of their strategic group. I was trying to, design newer products, newer things. From there, I come into investment banking. And a completely structured international environment, where you know exactly what you're supposed to do. Everything is measured and you have these quarterly KRA meetings, and I'm like, oh wow, where have I landed? So it's
life becomes Excel and PPT.
Yeah, Excel, PPT, numbers, and how you're supposed to, look at attention to detail is like your most important KRA. But I think what that got, that the other piece that I learned from my 5 years in JP Morgan was how you need to deliver on whatever you're doing with absolute beating. You can't go wrong even 1% here and there. And that was the other key learning that I got from it. So these two things got together, and I'm talking of like almost 10 years of corporate life between these two companies. Two absolutely different companies, but gave me a lot of insight. 2010 is when I quit on my own, Ratna. And I think between that time, cut to say 2017, I would say, I actually tried my hand at building about 7 to 8 different businesses. Some failed at the Excel sheet stage. Several of them failed at the partner stage. You got everything together and then you're like, oh my God, the partner is absolutely wrong. So you dropped it. Several I tried, it didn't work, so I left it. The two companies that did take off and they did reasonably well, today none of them exist. One was a platform that I tried to create for content funding. So, we said, okay, can you do small level, 1 crore, 2 crore content creation with, so I think now when I look back, I think I was trying to set up an angel network for content. Yeah? So that, I think it was an idea too before its time. And I realized that, I can't scale with what I'm wanting to do over there. From there, I pivoted. So that was called Idea Booster. Then I pivoted from there into what is called a digital content market. So that was called Digi Booster. So that I tried for a couple of years. It was doing well. We also pivoted a couple of times from, doing content market. Then we tried to pivot it into an influencer marketing, etc. I think COVID got the company. So I think March of 2020 is when we realized that, we don't have the funds to run it, to build it to scale. So we decided to. While all this was happening in 2010, when I quit, I did two things, right? I was trying to set up my own thing. And for some reason, I had this tremendous pull towards angel investing. So I became a member with Mumbai Angels. So I was from 2010, I was a member and I was doing my own investments and stuff like that. And I started getting more and more involved with the company. Two of my very good friends have started this, Sasha and Prashant. And then I was a part of the board. I was getting more and more involved. It's in somewhere around 2016 is, because we realized that now the whole concept of a network no longer will exist, because you have peers in the market who are out there as startups, as wealth building machines, and we need to compete in the same way. That is when I came in to the company as the third co-founder and the operating partner in 2017. So 2017 onwards, Mumbai Angels is primarily my baby. The other two are investors who are saying, we are on the board, you run it. So 3 of us, and now we are trying to build Mumbai Angels itself as a massive wealth management platform. That's the journey that.
I think one of the things is that, youngsters today, especially the millennials and the generations after that, they want quick success. And we look at any entrepreneurs, we look at any professionals. I think the journey is so very interesting. It's got a lot of ups and downs, and all of us need to realize that there are cycles and you have to survive all of those cycles. Some of them have just seen the golden age.
Yeah.
Right? And that is why it becomes very difficult when things go even slightly downhill. And therefore, I think, learning from people who've been there, done it is so very important. I think adversity is our best teacher.
Absolutely. What I'm looking at is actually a worrying trend. Just because money is more readily available for you to build your business doesn't mean the grunt work or the blood and sweat that will go into building something meaningful. Forget large. Today what's happening is I actually think that the kind of news that keeps coming in the market every day on saying this one's become a unicorn, this one's raised so much funding, this has done, it's doing at some level a disservice to our large, the hundreds and thousands of entrepreneurs that we need in the country to build this, who are thinking it's very easy. It's never easy.
Absolutely. And the thing what happens is that there will be one unicorn, it will come out in the press, but there will be 100 others who are like literally struggling, doing things right, but maybe getting demotivated. Why are we not there?
Absolutely. It is, I call that a Shah Rukh Khan effect. You see one guy in the newspaper. There are not, I would actually put the number in lakhs. For one Shah Rukh Khan, there are lakhs of guys who are at various levels of building their craft. This is a craft building, it's a passion building. And my sense is, anytime somebody is just chasing valuations, they don't understand what this is. And sooner or later there will be a reality check. And coming from an investor who does this day in, day out, I see this continuously.
Nandini, you see a lot of startups, but at the same time, you see a lot of angel investors. In the last couple of years, I get a call almost every month, a couple of people saying, are you investing in startups? Are there some startups that we can invest in? And these are people who probably don't even understand how to evaluate companies, which is very interesting that they want to build out another asset class. So that's great news for the startup world. But what should angel investors watch out for when they're looking for investing? I think that's a very important question, because everybody is now opening up their eyes and saying, where is the money? FD is 5%, real estate is stuck in some limbo somewhere. Where do we put the money?
Yeah. So, we are actually, Ratna, out there continuously trying to do investor education on this exact point. So, we need to understand that this is an asset class. So you will have to work with it as an asset class so you don't burn your money. So first you will have to say, how much of my overall portfolio do I want to allocate? Our recommendation is in, say anywhere around 5 to 7% of the overall portfolio. So you put that money in. That's number one. The second is, please don't go unicorn hunting. There is no, today, after being in this space for 10 years, I'm much less confident on saying, oh, this is going to become a unicorn than I was 5 years back. 5 years back, I would be like, oh yes, give me 10 and I know which one will do. It doesn't work like that. It has to be a portfolio approach. It has to be a systematic, patient approach. And you will have to build your portfolio as an individual. So whether you're talking of an individual investor or whether you're talking of family office, what our data shows is that you will have to have a minimum portfolio of a 50 to 80 companies before the portfolio approach and before the IRR starts kicking in into your. So what are you trying to achieve? You're trying to achieve 5 to 7% of my allocation. Work at it in a very, very patient, professional way at it. It will start giving you the asset class at that level will start giving you a return of anywhere between 30 to 35%. But like I said, this has to be done in a wider range of about 80 to 100 companies, not lesser than that. If you and the biggest problem that we see with newer investors is what we call selection bias. You see 10 first companies and you start over depending on your ability to find winners. So you will say, oh, I like this guy and here is the money and that's number one. Second is our over, the over delta that we put on ourselves to be able to steer the company to success. No, you don't do it. You put the money behind the business model and you put the money behind the founder. If you think you have to run the business, it is not angel investing. You might as well become a founder somewhere else and build your own business. So if you're looking at it as an asset class, which is what I think all of us should do, who don't see this as our main business, and a portfolio approach, larger number of investments, and follow two people. One are leads who are going to devote a sensible amount of time to those investments, and the founders. So that's the only way you will not lose money and get what we see a lot of times is, people come into this with a lot of enthusiasm. 2 years down the line, they get disillusioned. Because they lose money and you will lose money. So what you'll have to do is follow the portfolio approach.
Right. So the bottom line is that, the 5x, the 10x that people expect coming into angel investing is something that you should keep it at bay and say that, let's assume that even though this asset class will give you higher returns than a normal investing pattern, you need to be really careful in terms of what you choose and pick, and keep a broader basket over there so that you can, balance out and diversify the risk. It's a very, very interesting approach.
Like any other asset class, any risky asset class, you will go with the portfolio approach. It's like somebody gave me a very nice line somewhere sometime back saying, portfolio approach is the only free lunch available to us. We should take it. The challenge happens when we start putting all our eggs in one basket, and then you start getting, sleepless nights on saying, oh my God, this is going down. So you'll have to take that anxiety away, and then this asset class will start working.
Right. Nandini, there have been a lot of myths around investing, and more so around startup investing because the shine around it, right? I've heard funny myths like, we want to invest in startups which have young founders. We want to invest in startups where, the guy is from an Ivy League. There's a lot of gender bias also at that stage, startup investing, because the startup takes a lot out of a founder, right? How are we encouraging female founders in this space? Help us just understand some of the myths and some of the funny things that you've come across.
Yeah, absolutely. This young founder and pedigree founder, I think, is one of the biggest myths. The thankful thing that I see now is that we've evolved a little more. So I see it on our platform. If you had a young Ivy League founder, say 5-6 years back, they actually could define their own valuation. There would be like a queue of investors saying, oh, does he tick the box of young, IIT, MIT, cut, invest the deal closes. Today, I see that has started changing, both in terms of experience. I actually don't see too much of a gender bias. I think it's more a function of lesser number of female founders. It's just a ratio thing rather than a gender bias on our platform in terms of what gets funded. What has actually started happening now is that people have started asking questions on saying, oh, do the founders have an understanding of what they're wanting to build? Do they come from that background? You are actually seeing more companies of 35, 40 plus people getting funded. They say that, oh, do the founders together have the full basket of what's being put together? So that has started going away in a very big way. And I see that to be a nice evolution of the ecosystem.
Very, very encouraging. I think the investors are also getting more, experienced in terms of, what is working, what is not working. Especially, I think 2020 we thought is, washout year in terms of early stage investing, venture investing. It went in the first half, it went down 30-40%, but it just bounced back like anything in the second half. And 2021 seems to be like a rock star year. I think we've just had 21 unicorns in any 6-month period that we've ever seen. So very, very interesting. I started with a movie because you're a media person and I love movies.
So I'm a fan of sport movies and Shah Rukh Khan. I love him. So Chak De. I cry.
I wonder that example came across. There is Shah Rukh Khan and then there are the others.
I cry every time I see that movie.
These Olympics and these hockey games would have really moved you around this time.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so amazed with what we have done as a nation. I just think a lot more needs to be done. There's so much of potential right from the village level for us to be actually out. I mean, at one end we see, oh, we've won one gold and etc. And then you see, oh, we are 47th in the. We can't be. We are 1/7 of the world's population. You have the medal count has to map. The math doesn't work, and I think that needs an entire DNA change in how we think about sports.
I think with the increasing involvement at Olympics and now these players getting the screen space which they deserve, I think that's going to encourage a lot more. Absolutely. So I think every year we'll incrementally move up.
Yeah, the pace needs to be exponential. I think, Ratna, it's that same thing that's happened to startups. It's like gradual, and then suddenly cut. So that the example that I love to use is the chessboard, where till the first half of the chessboard, if you keep doubling your stakes, you'll move very, very slow. It's when you start going to the closer to the second half is when it becomes exponential. Every doubling becomes exponential. I see that happening both for entrepreneurship in our country and sports.
Very interesting. It's the bamboo tree example.
Yeah.
All right. 150 years is very interesting. You need a lot of balance, quality of life, and inner peace. What do you do for that?
So, Ratna, it's a very old Hindu philosophy of how you look at it. It's the concept of what is called the witness or sakshi bhav. What that means is that you have to walk into life, or you have to actually watch life like a Netflix movie. I'm going to give that example. Right? So what happens is, if you watch a Netflix movie, you know it is not real, right? If you can operate in life in that same format, the only difference there is that in life, you're also the actor, you're the lead actor, because it's your own movie, and you're watching it. But at the end of it, you should know that nothing matters,
The detachment factor.
Yeah, you watch it as a witness. So it's it comes from the Upanishads, So if you watch everything without getting attached to it, and then put your full into it, so you're not like not doing something. It's your movie and it has to be a super hit, right? So you do your full thing in it, but don't worry about the effects it has on you. So what that will allow you to do is it will allow you to remain light and as blemish-free as possible.
And
irrespective of whatever life throws at you. So it's a tough one. It's a lifelong craft building. But yeah, that's something that I strive for on a daily basis.
Very interesting. We'll close this one with a really important question. Who's your biggest cheerleader? Somebody who is your go-to person, somebody who you go to when you're extremely happy or stressed?
My family, my mother, my brother, sister, my nephew, nieces. They are my biggest cheerleader. They are like unconditional love, unconditional support, unconditional respect, and that's what drives me. Yeah.
I think with that's a great wrap. Nandini, we got some very interesting insights. So it was a great session with you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And I am sure the viewers are going to really enjoy this session. It's extremely informative.